Good day, ma'am. I am Ramel Cañete, and for today, I'm going to discuss the chapter 4 of Business Organization and Management, which entitled Types of Organization. So, as business is set up and develops, it follows a fixed form of internal structure. The structure may be simple or complex, but it can generally be identified as belonging to certain well-defined forms. So first is the line type. The line type of business organization is an organization where there is a direct flow of authority from the top position to immediately subordinate levels. A characteristic of this type is the superior-subordinate relationship, wherein a superior delegates authority to a subordinate who turn delegates authority to another subordinates, thus forming a line from the very top of the lowest level of the organization structure. The line type of organization is present in all organization type since any organization since any organization has has a series of authority gradation and forms of pyramidal arrangement of its members. Line authority is the simplest of the organization types. Hence, it is easily understood by its members. Every person knows from whom he receives his orders to whom to report. Decision making is expedited since each member has authority giving him complete charge of his particular area like work, scheduling, and other specific of business operations which are within his scope of authority. Number two, the lines of authority. So all in the same level of authority as in the same case of foremen are independent of each other. Each is supreme in his own field and is responsible to the man directly above him. In an industrial plant, for example, there may be a machine shop, a paint shop, and so forth. Each shop is under a foreman. A foreman of one shop neither gives nor receives instructions from any other foreman, but each foreman receives his order from his superintendent. Number 3. The line type necessitates the highest grade of executive and requires workers to be efficient. No other type of organization demands such all-around knowledge and ability. As we stated, it's it presupposes total competence at the top. The foreman of one shop has complete charge of the shop and is directly held responsible for its operations. He sees to it that the necessary equipment is available and is in good condition. He determines the proper methods, hires hires workers and instructs them. He sees to it that they work steadily and accurately, adjusts their wages, and takes care of an infinite number of other details. So, advantages of the line type. So, we have 5 advantages. So, the line type of organization has certain advantages that arise from its structural relationship. Some of these advantages are simplest expressions of the fundamental of organization. The different advantages are as follows. Number 1, directness. Directness, the members of the organization know to whom they are responsible and what exactly functions they are performed. Each man knows definitely his place in the organization. So number 2, fixed responsibility. Fixed responsibility is the responsibility is not divided. Employees and supervisors are at each level are subject to singleness of control. Number 3, discipline. So discipline, it can be seen that discipline is easily maintained and control is definite. Men, especially at the lower level of organization, seems to react more favorably to a single authority than many authorities. The directness and fixed responsibility of this type of organization naturally led to stronger discipline. If a policy is to be changed or an important order is to go out, instructions can be transmitted with the discipline down the line and the change put into effect obediently because of the military nature of line organization. Number 4, simplicity. The line relationship is easy to define. The organization plan is simple. In an ideal line organization, there is a minimum of red tape because each executive is supposed to be competent in his particular sphere and level of authority. Number 5, flexibility. By reason of the simplest structure, the line organization permits quick adjustments to changing situations. For instance, in the organizational setup, each executive has sole responsibility in his department and is in position to take the needed action if anything comes up. Number 6, the development of all-around executives at higher levels of authority, or minimum backpassing. The line organization lends itself to a minimum of backpassing. When a supervisor has been given complete charge of his department, he cannot blame someone else if things go wrong. Since he is also own personal manager, for example, he is in no position to claim that the failed to receive adequate assistance in forestalling grievance that may arise. The structural arrangement of the line type provides the enterprise with trained men to take over the higher positions when vacated, say by the retirement, death, or resignation. Men used to command and lead are readily available. So, disadvantages of the line types. As business organizations expand, the line type can no longer meet certain problems. In small enterprise, this kind of organizational structure can be used to great advantage. In big complex, however, as in a manufacturing concern employing thousands of persons and performing a multitude of specialized functions, certain disadvantages becomes apparent. So the first disadvantage is it becomes difficult to secure executives, supervisors, and workers with an all-around knowledge and with the ability required. Executives and supervisors must know everything to handle and supervise the same. Business operations in the modern world require or involve technical knowledge of various subjects, thus only men of unusual ability, broad knowledge, and years of experience could possibly qualify for such positions of complete competence. Number 2, the specialization is not taken advantage of. Each of the organization has a variety of duties and responsibilities. Few men can do many things well, where an executive is expected to handle many jobs and subordinates he cannot pay specialized attention to highly technical or sensitive operations. Number 3, in a company considerable size, the executives are apt to be overloaded with duties and responsibilities. So, in theory, the principle of delegation should be applied, but in practice, the exacting requirements of complete line authority for executives to put their fingers in every job. As a result, the executive could no longer work to the best of their ability, having to care for so many details. Number 4, too much reliance is placed on the chief and other executives. In this case, if one or more of the top executives should become incapacitated, the business is bound to be crippled temporarily if not permanently. In the day-by-day operation of a business, the disadvantage is also apparent. There is a sense of frustration throughout the business when subordinates feel that the only one or few key men should make the important decisions, especially on matters where the necessary technical competence or needed research and detailed analysis is missing. Number 3, the spirit of teamwork or working together toward a common goal or end is something lacking in the line organization. So a strong executive may be able to make everybody in his department to the line. He may be able to achieve coordination and control, but this coordination and control are not lasting. So functional type of organization. So this type of organization is radically different from the line type and evolved as an answer to the problems and disadvantages inherent in the line type or organization. So the father of scientific management, Frederick Taylor, observed that it becomes impossible to find the Superman who can know all there is no to know about a business and who can see satisfactorily meet all the requirements of a line executive's position. Taylor advocated the functional type of organization and worked out as a basic organization for management of a shop. In a functional organization, the task of management is supervision and are divided according to function. When a question on a product be turned comes up, the same workman is under the inspector. If a shop has 80 workmen, these 80 laborers would not be divided into 8 distinct units, answering only boss per unit. All of them would have 8 different supervisors according to what functions or tasks are doing at a given amount. So the characteristics of this type of organizations are: number one, experts or men trained for a particular kind of work are employed instead of all around men. Those experts or trained men are, for instance, the chemist, the engineer, and the superintendent as shown in the organization chart. They supervise worker only if the task are expert. Number two, in the strict functional type, we have the full application of the principle of division of labor, both mental and manual. The workers, on the other hand, come in contact with the take orders and several functions, foreman as to performance of each particular functions or function. Advantages of the functional types. So there are certain advantages. Number one, specialization is carried to maximum degree. This tends to separate the manual and mental functions as much as possible. Number two, there is a greater need for specialized skills abilities, which are easier to secure rather than all around workers who are more difficult to hire and keep. Number three, the needed supervisors, in addition to being more readily secured, are trained for their specialized tasks with relatively little difficulty, thus promoting the flexibility in the organization. Number four, there is a simplified control, hence functions are executed effectively. And lastly, number five, supervisions or control or functions is distributed to specialists who have the full knowledge of their own line of specialization. So, disadvantages of functional type. Number one, discipline tends to break down among the workmen and at times even among the foreman at a lower supervisory level. Human nature still insists on clear authority. When the same workman answers to many supervisors, his discipline becomes lax. Number two, when discipline is weak, morale is likely to be low. Number three, there is no retarded flow of action on account of the divided control. At times, the same task overlaps into two or more functional areas of supervisions. This leads to confusion. Number four, responsibility is theoretically fixed, but in practice, backpassing becomes a rule. It is difficult to fix blame for wrong action. Each foreman disclaims responsibility and points to another as the erring person. The disadvantages prove to be so overpowering. However, that is doubtful if an example of pure functional organization exists in business today. However, the principle of functionalization of activity and allocation of duties and responsibilities on a functional basis are widely recognized and applied. Next is the line and staff type. As the name indicates, the line and staff type organization is the combination of the best features of both the line and the functional types. It is considered as having the advantages of both and with the disadvantages each removed or eliminated. The line organization continues to be the basic framework of the organization structure. Authority in the organization remains mostly line. The principles earlier referred to be a directness, responsibility, discipline, etc. continue the principles. Staff. Staff is taken from the word describing the stick, rod, or pole carried in the handle for support. In biblical times, shepherds are used as staff while going over hilly grounds pasturing their sheep. Staff became anonymous with support. General staff refers to the advisors who service the entire organization. Thus, the personnel man, eager, and the legal officer perform counseling and research for the entire organization. Special staff. Special staff assist in the specific and usually highly technical areas. The market analyst, the quality control engineer, and the certain chemist are special staff. So personal staff refers to the private secretaries, special assistants, and other whose relationship to the top executive are more personal and intimate. So the staff departments have no direct control over production, nor they do exercise any executive authority. The only line authority they have is the over of the few subordinates in their own department. The line and functional types are offer certain advantages. So number one, greater flexibility. So flexibility was mentioned as advantage of the line organization. With the addition of staff, flexibility is increased. Now activities and needed functions can be entered into without disturbing the basic into structure. Number two, greater strength. The line department get the benefit of well-studied advice from experts. In a particular field, line officers are enabled to act with certainty and therefore arrive at stronger decisions. Number three, specialization. The advantages of specialization are applied without falling into the difficulties of the functional organization. At times, a specialization even goes beyond by daily operations or time schedules in routine productions. He can conduct research, analyze and synthesize situations and problems and arrives at decisions with greater freedom. He is not bothered by workmen running to him for decisions. Number 4, executive training. A line executive who studies carefully the advice given by the staff specialist become a more qualified executive. A line and staff type has also areas of weakness. Unless line of communication are kept clear and uncluttered, workmen may confuse the line orders with the staff advice because the staff executive are removed from actual operations and do not answer directly for operational difficulty. The committee ideas in organization. In order to facilitate a cooperative relationship within the large enterprise, many companies now add a network of committee to the line and staff organization. Committee, Committees are formed for the performance of special duties. Such committees may either be permanent, sometimes referred to as standing committees, or may be organized to serve temporary functions only and referred to be special committees. Functions of committees. A few of the functions of committees that may be mentioned are as follows. Number 1, to get the members to work as a team. Men on the same level of authority are often jealous of or distrust each other. The feeling of being taken advantage of somehow crop up, but by placing these workmen in committee, giving them a common problems to work on and getting them to know one another better, suspicious vanish, teamwork and coordinations are enhanced. Number 2, to recognize executive ability and enable training for those who latter will comprise top management. So, by placing By placing promising young men who are less experienced in business on the committee, their executive abilities are broadened and sharpened. Number three, to enable the pulling together of executive abilities and experiences, or the bringing together of some of the best brains of the company. A company, for instance, may form a general advisory committee composed of presidents or general managers, treasurer, factory manager, compiler, chief engineer. Suggestions regarding committee. For committee to be of the greatest light, their formation should be considered carefully. No definite rules can be given as to the number or makeup of committees, as there would depend upon the problems to be solved. The following are the few suggestions as to some of the points to be considered. So there are 5 suggestions. So number first is size. Committees should have a sufficient number of members to provide thorough discussions, but they should not be as to but they should not be so as large to be unwieldy. Number two, selections of members. Members should be chosen from among the organization who are directly affected and most interested in the branch of the business to be considered by the particular committee. Number three, frequency and duration of conference. Conference should be held at intervals frequent enough to get results of practical value. On the other hand, care must be exercised that the conferences are not held too often and that they are not of too long duration, consuming too much time of the members. Number four, advance notices to the committee's members of work to be considered. This will facilitate the work of the committees as the members used to study the problems and to have suggestions at the time of the meeting. And lastly, the work of the committee is advisory. The recommendations of the committee generally receives favorite action by those in authority. Occasionally, committees may be foretold with power to act. For example, the executive committee of the board of directors may have power to take action on certain questions in the absence of the full board, but as a rule, the work of the committee is advisory and receives favorable acceptance because of its worth and value. So that would be all, ma'am, for my discussion in the chapter 4. Thank you.